Shana Tova. Before I speak tonight, I'd like to present the class gift from the confirmation class of 5774. And I wanted to, you guys. I want to also share a little secret with you about us rabbis. We get a great sense of power over being able, with just a simple gesture, to make a whole room rise to their feet. And I'm going to share some of that power with you tonight and ask you on the count of shalosh, which is 3 in Hebrew, to all of you join me in just doing the please rise gesture. Don't get up, but do the please rise gesture. Okay? Echad, oh, it beat us. Echad, shtaim, shalosh. Look over there. Thank you very much to the class. The confirmation class, we no longer have to put the rickety screen up on top of the flowers. Do geese see God? What? Don't worry, this is not a sermon about the spirituality of waterfowl. Do geese see God is a palindrome. Words or phrases that you can read forwards or backwards. Here's another one, appropriate, I think, for the high holy days. Did I do, O God? Did I as I said I'd do? Good, I did. You can read it backwards. Palindromes are fun and interesting. We all descend from palindromes. Eve was one, as was Adam when he first met Eve and introduced himself, saying, "Madam, I'm Adam." We are all children of palindromes, mom and dad. Palindromes have something more to teach us. Rabbi Eliyahu ben Shlomo, the 18th century master sage known as the Vilna Gaon, noticed a meaningful palindrome in Torah. Exodus chapter 30, verse 12 reads, "V'natnu ish kofer nafsho." They shall each give an offering. Rabbi Eliyahu points out that v'natnu is a Hebrew palindrome. Furthermore, the trope markings above the word are palindromic as well. They look like a pair of parentheses. This should remind us, he says, that one who gives today may have to receive tomorrow. In other words, what goes around comes around. It reminds me of a song I learned at camp when I was a little kid. Love is something, if you give it away, it comes right back to you. Some of you are nodding. You learned it too. There's a reason I'm going on about palindromes. The year we enter tonight, 5775, is a palindromic year. It won't happen again for another 110 Rosh Hashanahs. I think it is saying, as the Torah text always says to us, Darsheni, interpret me. Palindromes remind me of Newton's third law of motion. For every action, there is an equal and opposite reaction. V'natnu, what we give out, God, or if you prefer, the universe, will somehow respond and give back. The mystics of the Kabbalah believe that our world and the heavenly realm are palindromic, that is, mirror images of each other, and that what we do down here has an effect on God, which then reflects back down to us. Positive thoughts and actions reflect back positively, negative ones negatively. According to one contemporary student of Kabbalah, though we may not be aware of it, when we behave in a contemptuous, uncivil, or rude manner, we arouse negative forces. When we cheat, lie, insult, or harm other people, a negative energy force is brought into existence. Each time we lose our patience, react with anger, or lose our temper, poof, we have created an actual force of darkness. These negative forces are the unseen cause behind all the things that just happen to go wrong in our lives. I think he is taking this concept quite literally, but you don't have to. If you are not of a mystical bent, the idea works just as well as a metaphor. The Greek etymology of palindrome means running back again. It's like a boomerang. It goes out, it comes back. Our words and actions are like boomerangs that we fling out into the cosmos. And like Vinatnu, they eventually come back to us, whether actually on the ground or in the effect they have on our souls. In Pirkei Avot, Ben Azai teaches, mitzvah goreret mitzvah, avera goreret avera. A mitzvah leads to another mitzvah, a transgression to another transgression. As you may know, during this year of focus on Torah, we will be studying Musar. According to the book Everyday Holy Day, Musar is a Jewish spiritual tradition that offers insight and guidance for living by directing us to pay attention to the impact that our inner traits have on our lives. Musar is a way to engage with Torah text in order to really live its values. You'll be hearing more about it in the coming days and weeks. The short version is that Musar encourages us to bring Torah into our lives and live up to the best that is in us by cultivating positive midot, character traits, and thereby bringing out the best in our world. Standing at the threshold of this palindromic new year, we have decisions to make about what we will send out into our world in the 12 months ahead. The mystics have another teaching that on Rosh Hashanah, the doors of wisdom and insight swing open to us, that we may draw on them to direct our choices for the coming year. We need help because choosing the right path often means choosing the difficult path. It is hard to choose patience when we are harried, to choose compassion when we are angry, courage when we are afraid, to choose faith in our grief. Musar teacher Rabbi Eliyahu Dessler describes the moment of choosing as a bechira point. Bechira points are the lines one has to cross in order to choose the good or right course at any given moment. It takes wisdom and insight and also courage to step up to the line and resolve to cross over. These lines are different for each person, and for any given person, they are constantly moving targets. There's a Calvin and Hobbes cartoon where notoriously naughty Calvin wishes that Santa would consider a kid's predisposition when making his list. Calvin says, I mean, if some sickeningly wholesome nerd likes being good, it's easy for him to meet the standards. There's no challenge. Heck, anyone can be good if he wants to be. The true test of one's mettle is being good even when one has an innate inclination toward evil. He then goes on to slam his friend Susie with a snowball and comments to Hobbes, I wanted to put a rock in it, but I didn't. That should count for a lot. Calvin has some serious bechira points to deal with. Rosh Hashanah, as you know, means New Year. But the word Shana comes from the same root as shinui, which means change. Rosh Hashanah is the beginning of change. A woman worked long and hard on a needlepoint sampler that read, "Prayer changes things." A few days later, she hung it up on the mantle. And then a few days after that, she noticed that it was missing from its place. She asked her husband if he had seen it. I took it down, he said. I didn't like it. But why, she asked. Don't you believe that prayer can change things? Yes, I honestly do, he said. But I don't like change. Change is never easy. But we are created in the image of God, and one of the ways we imagine God is as change itself. When Moses asks God's name at the burning bush, God responds, Ehyeh asher ehyeh. I will become what I will become. Ehyeh asher ehyeh, a palindrome phrase. There's another type of palindromic effect in which reading the text backwards changes our understanding of it instead of just mimicking it. It suggests that what we do can turn around or reverse something we've encountered. When someone approaches you in anger, might you respond with equanimity? When someone is in pain, will you respond with comfort? And when you have failed someone or have regrets, can you reach out and make it right? This is teshuvah, turning, and it is what these holy days are all about. From a mystical perspective, it is a spiritual law of the universe that when a person achieves a positive change in his or her own nature, the universe must respond and reflect that positive energy back. The result is tikkun, repair. There's a story in the Talmud about a Rabbi Yosef who was gravely ill and for a moment saw a glimpse of heaven. When he revived, he told his father, I saw an olam hafuch, an upside-down world, where the elyonim, the high people, were low, and the tachtonim, the low people, were high. No, said his father, you saw an olam barur, a right world, a clear world. Sometimes here on earth things are topsy-turvy, and we need to reverse them with acts of tikkun. I'll illustrate and conclude with a palindrome poem written by 20-year-old Jonathan Reed. It was the winning entry in a contest sponsored by the AARP. This poem, when read in reverse, changes its perspective instead of simply repeating itself. It is an expression of teshuvah, of tikkun, and of hope. I am part of a lost generation, and I refuse to believe that I can change the world. I realize that this may be a shock, but happiness comes from within is a lie, and money will make me happy. So in 30 years, I will tell my children they are not the most important thing in my life. My employer will know that I have my priorities straight because work is more important than family. I tell you this, once upon a time families stayed together, but this will not be true in my era. This is a quick fix society. Experts tell me 30 years from now, I will be celebrating the 10th anniversary of my divorce. I do not concede that I will live in a country of my own making. In the future, environmental destruction will be the norm. No longer can it be said that my peers and I care about this earth. It will be evident that my generation is apathetic and lethargic. It is foolish to presume that there is hope. And all of this will come true unless we choose to reverse it. There is hope. It is foolish to presume that my generation is apathetic and lethargic. It will be evident that my peers and I care about this earth. No longer can it be said that environmental destruction will be the norm in the future. I will live in a country of my own making. I do not concede that 30 years from now I will be celebrating the 10th anniversary of my divorce. Experts tell me this is a quick fix society, but this will not be true in my era. Families stayed together once upon a time. I tell you this, family is more important than work. I have my priorities straight because my employer will know that they are not the most important thing in my life. So in 30 years, I will tell my children, money will make me happy is a lie, and happiness comes from within. I realize this may be a shock, but I can change the world, and I refuse to believe that I am part of a lost generation. Eloheinu Shebashamayim, eternal and intimate God, grant us the insight and courage we need to choose well what we will send out into the world in the new year. Help us to choose kindness and compassion, blessing and peace. And may we receive them back in abundance. Amen. And finally, one last palindrome for this palindrome year. Are we not drawn onward, we Jews, drawn onward to a new era? Ken Yehi Ratzon. May it be God's will.